The question of U.S. foreign policy, a geopolitical analysis of Donald Trump's approach. The question of U.S. foreign policy, particularly that of Donald Trump, continues to spark numerous inquiries. Why does he consider Greenland to be so strategic? And what about his desire to regain control of the Panama Canal? These are the questions we will explore through a geopolitical analysis of his approach, often provocative, yet always calculated. The Panama Canal, a sovereignty conflict. When Trump talks about controlling the Panama Canal, he is drawing on a geopolitical tradition that has spanned decades. The Panama Canal is a strategic axis for the United States because it provides a rapid connection between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, thus facilitating trade and military deployments. The 1977 treaty allowed Panama to take control of the canal, but the historical link with the U.S. remains strong. Some even argue that Panama has only a relative sovereignty over this infrastructure, further strengthening the dependent relationship between the two countries. However, in 2022, Trump seemed to want to challenge this balance. Why? The canal represents about 6% of Panama's GDP, a significant portion of the country's revenue. But from the U.S. perspective, the current situation is unsatisfactory. Control of this maritime passage is crucial for maintaining American hegemony in international trade. As a shrewd strategist, Donald Trump seeks to use this situation to negotiate more favorable terms for the United States. He knows that this power dynamic, built on military and economic dominance, will give him a strong bargaining chip in international negotiations. Greenland, a strategically vital acquisition. Now let's turn to another sensitive issue, Greenland. This territory, located between North America and Europe, has natural resources of vital importance, including rare earth elements, zinc, and gold. In a world where economic warfare is raging, particularly with China, these resources are a powerful lever. The U.S. interest in Greenland is not new. Since the 1940s, several proposals have been made to buy the territory. Greenland is strategic not only because of its geographic location, which allows surveillance of Russian and Canadian military activities, but also for its mineral resources. It is a true treasure coveted by several world powers. The geopolitical stakes become more complicated when considering that a portion of Greenland's population advocates for independence from Denmark, which could make the exploitation of these resources even more difficult. Trump's statement regarding Greenland fits within this context. If the United States can secure more influence over the territory, they could guarantee access to essential resources and strengthen their position against powers like China, which currently dominates the rare earth market. The Panama Canal and the economic war with China. As part of the trade war with China, the Panama Canal plays a crucial role. The U.S. has always considered this passage a strategic element in their trade with Asia, particularly China, Japan, and South Korea. Controlling this passage is also a way to preserve their influence over global trade routes. Thanks to his aggressive economic posture, Trump aims to ensure that this passage remains under U.S. influence. He criticizes the excessively high transport fees and seeks to redefine the rules to reduce costs for American businesses. But this does not come without tension, especially with Panama, which must balance managing this strategic asset while maintaining its independence in the face of U.S. pressure. The power dynamic in Trump's approach. What defines Donald Trump's policy is his approach to the power dynamic. Unlike more traditional diplomatic approaches, Trump prefers tough negotiations, where the goal is to set maximum demands before making concessions. This allows him to reposition discussions in his favor and guarantee results that strengthen the U.S.'s global position. America under Trump is not content with a defensive posture. It seeks to expand its influence, particularly in Latin America and the Arctic region. Relations with Panama, as well as with Greenland, are thus marked by a desire to reaffirm the United States' role as a global leader, not only through military power, but also through the exploitation of strategic resources. The influence of resources in the global context domination over natural resources, whether in the Panama Canal or Greenland, is crucial in a world where supply chains are becoming increasingly critical for economic powers. In the case of Greenland, this is not only a strategic issue for the U.S., but also for other actors like the European Union, which is also seeking to secure raw material supplies for its energy transition projects. The competition for these resources is intensified by China's rise, which currently dominates the rare earths and other strategic minerals market. Greenland, with its deposits, thus becomes a key territory in this resource war, and Trump is well aware of this. Geopolitical relations. The case of Panama and Greenland. The U.S. has always been adept at manipulating power dynamics to its advantage, particularly in strategic geographical areas such as the Panama Canal and Greenland. In both cases, U.S. policy is based on a pragmatic vision, maximizing gains while minimizing risks. The relationship with Panama, after the signing of the 1977 treaty, has been marked by a constant tension between local sovereignty and American strategic interests. While Panama has some powers, the U.S. retains a permanent surveillance right, particularly in the event of a threat to the canal. The same goes for Greenland, where the U.S. seeks to strengthen its diplomatic and economic presence to secure its supplies and position in the face of geopolitical rivals like China. The international context, a geopolitics in motion. In a constantly evolving world, international relations are often defined by economic and geostrategic interests. Under Donald Trump's presidency, the U.S. continues to play this card with great skill. The trade war with China, the exploitation of natural resources, and the mastery of strategic passages like the Panama Canal and Greenland are at the heart of this strategy. The coming months and years will be decisive in understanding how these geopolitical issues will influence international relations. If Trump or another leader manages to rebalance the power dynamic in their favor, it could redefine the global order for decades to come.